John's Gospel, 14th chapter, come these verses. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you forever. This is the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him because he abides with you, and he will be in you. I will not leave you orphaned. I am coming to you. In a little while the world will no longer see me, but you will see me. Because I live, you also will live. On that day you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. They who have my commandments and keep them are those who love me. And those who love me will be loved by my Father, and I will love them and reveal myself to them. So ends the reading of God's holy word. Invite us to pray. Gracious and eternal God, we give thanks for these words from the Gospel according to John. These words of transition, but words of promise as well. An abiding, everlasting promise of your presence in all times, in all things. May we take this in as the reassurance and the deep hope that it really is, and may it bless our living. We ask this in your holy name. Well, some people really know how to throw a party. I think this church knows how to throw a party. I think we just did. In a fine fashion. Some folks just seem to have the knack. And I have great admiration for people who know how to do that. Who can go the whole 9 yards. From soup to nuts. Beyond nuts. To that final stage. Those neat little party favors. Tuck into your pocket as you leave a party. Giving you that kind of sweet aftertaste of a really fun party. Wedding planners have taken this to a high art. I want to tell you, I have left wedding receptions toting everything from maple syrup to bubble blowers to disposable cameras to glow sticks. All legal. I mean, I was supposed to take them. And I can see the point, in a way, in such gifts. Because they offer a lovely, lingering reminder of something really fun. Of course, the most enduring legacy of a really good wedding can be the food, some of which we can tote around for years. But of course, sooner or later, every good party comes to an end, and no matter how many times you go back to the dessert bar, eventually it comes to a conclusion. And it can be a downer to leave a really good party and return to the ordinary grind of life. And if we happen to be at a party that's hosted by none other than the Son of God, well, how do you follow that one up? But the twist, interesting part of this whole scene is that only Jesus really knew just how much of a goodbye it was. As his friends lounged around after dinner full of food and wine, and probably generally clueless as to the events yet to come, how could they know the depth, the significance of his departure, or the extent of the gift that he was leaving with them? As yet, there was no betrayal, there was no trial, no crucifixion, no death. Just friends around the table. So why, dear Jesus, all this unnecessary succession planning? I don't know about you, but I sometimes get nervous when someone starts to reassure me when I see no reason to be reassured. When the airline pilot comes on the intercom with that really laid-back voice and says, we'll be encountering just a little bit of turbulence. I start looking for the parachute. Or the dentist says, just a slight prick. And my knuckles go on the chair. Or even when the road sign says, bump ahead. Because I drive a car with a 6-inch clearance. And that little bump can take my oil pan. So some reassurance doesn't reassure much. It's hard to know, back to the scene, how much the dinner guests knew. Chances are very little. And so some of the words that he shared with them may not have really sunk in until after the fact. But that's not so unfamiliar to a lot of us. We've probably heard a lot of words, advice, maybe from our elders, that seemed almost senseless at the time until we got older. Words of advice like just regular ordinary things like take your time, kick the tires, read the fine print, forgive often, smell the roses, laugh a lot, take naps. When you're young, some of that stuff just doesn't resonate. Yet. So for those who lounged around the table listening to this promise of a comforter or an advocate or a helper to carry on in the absence of Jesus, it may have seemed a little hypothetical, a little bit vague, pointless maybe. And yet Jesus was offering something far better than a glow stick or a disposable camera. He was promising a first-rate babysitter, a stand-in to hang with us throughout life, through all the changes. The older I get, the more I appreciate how people negotiate changes and transitions. It seems like people of maturity know how to negotiate these things with grace and sometimes even finesse. I'm not especially good at it. Maybe I'll get better. But whether the change is moving, having kids, retiring, losing a spouse, gaining a spouse, or even adopting a new pet, flexibility is key. And I admire that flexibility because I think at its root, flexibility is very close to faith. Faith in a presence larger than me to carry me through this particular change. That night after dinner, Jesus gave us all a gift, a great gift, a gift of continuity. A promise that he would abide with us in, albeit a different form, through all the changes and challenges of life. And I think continuity is a very good thing. As a musician, I really have never had the opportunity to play alongside a drummer. But I think there could be a wonderful confidence in knowing that no matter whatever else happens in the song, the beat goes on. The train will keep rolling. And what a comfort that can be to some of us who might be a little rhythmically challenged. But I learned another lesson, had another encounter with continuity, where else but at the Market Cafe at Wegmans, a week or two ago. It wasn't about keeping the beat, but it was about keeping an eye on it. A little girl came strolling by as we were eating our lunch, and she seemed fascinated by the burger bar, pretty well transfixed by it, just sort of staring as she walked along, oblivious to just about everything else, including Mommy and Daddy, who were not on the scene. It just floated along, heading out into the white water of the Market Cafe. What I found so beautiful and so comforting was that while I was watching the little girl walk along, so was one of Wegmans' staff people, keeping a very close eye on her, and who was just about to offer the little girl assistance and guidance when Mommy actually caught up. It was a little thing, but it revealed a kind of careful attentiveness continuity of caring that felt Christ-like in the moment. No child left behind. No adult left behind. No one left behind. I think, like the little girl, probably we all, at one time or another, need that kind of continuity of caring to help us when we get lost and distracted. Jesus knew it, which is why he was so attentive to what we needed in the long home, whether we knew what we needed or not. And so he left this parting gift of the Comforter, the Spirit, which is part of his legacy. Nowadays, the word legacy is all the rage. What will be my legacy? Financial planners talk about legacy until they're blue in the face. Politicians talk about legacies until we're blue in the face. The question is, how do we offer something to those who are coming along behind us? Our family, our church, our community, our planet? And to put it in somewhat stark terms, do we leave garbage or do we leave a gift? And how we leave can be an enormous blessing. This is a little bit of a dark spin on it, but it's important. Funeral planning comes to my mind. And I can't overstate what a gift it is to one's family to have those end-of-life decisions made already, so that when that family comes shuffling into that office to meet with me, usually in a state of acute grief, their work is so much easier. It's a wonderful parting gift. A lot better than maple syrup. But we don't have to be at the end of life to offer parting gifts. Boy Scouts have known about this for years, with their practice of leaving a campsite better than they found it. Clean, tidy, and I don't know if you will vouch for this, Noah, but maybe even stocked with firewood for the next ones coming down the path. We should do as well with our campsite that we call Earth. But I think one of the greatest parting gifts we can offer is the gift of respect. It's something we can cultivate, I believe, in every interaction we have with others, whether they are family members or friends or strangers. And it can be priceless. When our actions convey to another that they are a person of value, a person of worth, somebody deserving love, that may be the most precious parting gift we can offer. Because if they learn it, they can then teach it. And then everybody wins. Well, one church took the notion of legacy just a little too far when they announced in the church bulletin that members were encouraged to place their donation in the envelope along with the deceased person you want remembered. Some parting gifts are better left to Terry Goodwin. But all of us have the power to bless. Bless those we meet and bless those we leave with the lingering presence of God's love. So may the Spirit dwell with us richly as we come and as we go.